hello, everyone. Hello. So nice to see you here with us again today. Well, I wish I could see you, but sadly I can't. But you can see us, hopefully, if you are engaging in the YouTube channel version of this program. We're now on, which episode are we for this season? Is this episode 4?
Three, I think.
Three?
I think, because we missed a
Episode
week.
Episode 3 of season 3 of You, Me, and ICED. I am your host, Dedra L Stevenson. I am an author and a screenwriter. You see some of the books that I've written there in the background, of my picture. And I'm going to try something new with my co-host today. I always introduce them for you, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves today. So, Mr. B, fire away. Tell them who you are.
And hello, I'm Mr. B. I'm trying to be the producer of the show and making sure we keep things going and moving. It's not easy all the time. That's why sometimes we skip a week, but because of our busy lives and obligations. But it's just really, really good to be here. It's good to be on. And I hope each and every one of you gathers some tidbit from this particular program, because we bring it to you right here on Free Talk with Mr. V.
Awesome. I love it. And Lene, hit them up with your bad self.
Well, yeah, I'm an artist. Well, as you can sort of, oh God, I can't do this mirror thing. So I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a paralegal. And yeah, I'm usually behind the scenes when I do developmental editing for people and my ghostwriting for clients. Of course, I can't talk about that, but lots of exciting stuff over the years. And this year is the first year I'm officially going to do NaNoWriMo. So I have purchased Save the Cat. I usually don't follow structures when I do my clients' work because I want their story to be original and authentic and not prepackaged into commercialized segments. But for my own story, I'm willing to go because I'm usually a pantser and I think I need to become a bit more of a planner this year, but we can talk about that in another episode.
And Richard, fire away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Richard D. I'm an author of speculative fiction. So that means everything really from sci-fi through to steampunk, through to crime novels based in space, and a few psychological thrillers as well. 21 novels published, and I should be writing the novel that's to my left as my project for NaNoWriMo this year. It's a psychological thriller based around a family and the secrets that they keep. And I also like to talk about world building and always happy to answer any questions about developing sci-fi and futuristic worlds.
Fantastic. So we've got a lot of experience coming from very different kind of backgrounds. I mean, Richard and I are both authors, multi-genre authors, but Lene is behind the scenes, as she said, with editing and the artwork and that sort of thing. And also she's a writer in her own right now, working on her first novel, in fact. And Mr. B with the art of giving back, being his debut work as well. Now, but the thing that we have in common, I think, is the fact that we all appreciate getting a review now and then. And reviews are how we get noticed largely, online, when people go, say, for example, on Amazon and they're looking for their next great read. And perhaps you type in crime thriller and you get, Where's Lizzie, the current book that, Richard is working on, or The Buchanan Bastard. My latest novel. Or, you look up self-help books and you get The Art of Giving Back. And, you download the book either by ebook or you order up a hardcover edition of it or a paperback and you enjoy it. The thing is that, because independent writers are, I think the reviews mean so much more, I think, in our case, because without them, I don't think we would have as much of a chance, of getting noticed by other readers, because the more reviews we get, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think that we get the algorithm is more in our favor, the more we get and the higher those points become. So, I mean, if we can possibly get over 20 or 30 or even 50, reviews, that just helps us along. I mean, it helps our books, pop up when those searches are done, I think, a little bit easier. I mean, I hope that I'm right by saying that. That's the impression that I've always gotten. But some people might have a little confusion as to how you actually post a review. So, perhaps we should talk about that a little bit so that people have more of an idea about how easy it is to drop a review. I mean, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh God, that's going to take so much of my time. I'm so busy. I don't really want to. It's enough that I bought the book, isn't it? I mean, Lene, what do you think? I mean, you've posted a lot of reviews for books that you've read because you're a voracious reader.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate here and say that I was raised, if you can't say something nice, you better shut up. And the internet, that is really
My grandma
true.
used to say that.
So writing is a lonely job, and we don't get a lot of public interaction. So reviews are like a one-way conversation. We can respond, but that does not always go well. And frankly, you can't always find every review. You don't get tagged on the internet. If it's on Amazon, you might get a notification. If it's on Goodreads, you might, or some random stranger might tell you, hey, I just saw your name over on this obscure review site in another country, and you have to go and look for it. So it's a bit of a mystery what reviews are, but people who tend to write reviews can also upset an author if they give away a spoiler of the plot, for example. They reveal too much, or they become highly opinionated, which makes the review more about them than you. But on the other hand, as everybody in showbiz says, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? So the thick skin factor, I think, is the most important thing for us. Is if you want reviews and you want to put yourself out there, you have to take whatever they throw at you, whether it's rotten eggs, tomatoes, golden stars. It's a sensitive issue, man, because we put our soul into our work. Now, I've been hidden from that side with the ghostwriting because it goes back to the authors. It doesn't come back to me. Thankfully, I haven't had any bad reviews on my clients' work so far over the years, which is a miracle. Let me tell you, it's a miracle. I have made mistakes that I've realized afterwards. And I would have written a scathing review at some of the unprofessional stuff I've gotten up to in manuscripts, but no one else picked it up. So, I'm relieved. But the thing about reviews is that it's your way of giving back to the author. And if a story touched you, I think that's a really lovely gesture to do. Take 5 minutes of your day and just validate the reading experience, or if you fell in love with a character or hated something, or even if you want to correct them on a point, but get the conversation going. And if you really don't want to do reviews on a big site where your name is public, have reviews in your church group, your school community group, your library group, your book clubs. Yeah. People still need to talk about the books, and at least that way the author gets acknowledgement and a bit of exposure. Because it's a struggle for indie authors, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, firstly, I don't think there's any such thing as a bad review. They're opinions, they're subjective, and far be it from me to tell someone what to think about what I write. So I appreciate everything. I appreciate the good ones. I appreciate the bad ones, because it means I've created an emotion in someone. It means the writing has done its work. Basically, I've written something that has given someone an opinion. It may be a good one, it may be a bad one. That's up to them. If you look at a lot of very famous books on Amazon or other sites which are available, you'll see they get bad reviews.
Sure,
so
they do.
Everyone gets them. The Bibles has some terrible reviews on Amazon.
Really? I never even thought about checking the reviews for the Bible. Oh my
God. I've developed this thick skin, I suppose. I don't really care what someone says, as long as they say something.
Right.
As I said, that I feel like I've done my job as a writer. Then that I've engaged someone and I've promoted an emotion in them, which has made them want to write and say what they think. And I was always taught at school to think, to think. You just think about
I
it.
like that.
So yeah, think
So
about
you're
it.
happy that you just started a conversation.
If you
Yeah.
don't like it, you don't like it. That's fair enough. But at least it's promoted you to actually say something about it. Someone else may agree with you,
Yeah.
they may not. I personally don't respond to reviews. People can say what they like, and
No,
a lot,
neither do I.
in a lot of ways, the review isn't really for me. It's for other readers. I know what the book's like,
Exactly.
so I don't need to be told in a way. So I look at them and think, well, that's nice. I've got 37. Well, that's nice. I've got however many I've got. And the number is the important thing.
Sure.
Adding to that, if I may just, you can also now just leave a rating on Amazon, so you haven't actually got to write anything. But you can just leave a number of stars to say what you thought of it. But even a couple of lines or just a couple of words is enough. You don't have to write an 80,000 word treatise. You can just say, well, yeah, I liked it, or well, didn't like it, whatever. That's enough.
It was great. Yeah. Three words.
Don't feel shy about it. Just say, yeah, I liked it, and that's a review. That's great, and I appreciate them all.
Yeah. I think it's important to mention though that, I think that most authors actually would agree that we do go to these sites on somewhat of a regular basis to check to see if we've got any new reviews. So we do actually read them. I think maybe people think that they're not really ever going to see it. Nobody's going to appreciate it. It's like it's some anonymous kind of thing, right? I'm imagining it, and in the mind, of the person who's read the book and is thinking, shall I review it? They think, it's not going to matter to anybody. Let me tell you though, it does. It really and truly does. I read every single one of the reviews and ratings that I get, good and bad. And especially, of course, yes, you're right, Richard. Naturally, it's really not for me to say if somebody, should say if they don't like the book, they didn't like it, they didn't like it. It might not be their cup of tea, at the end of the day. But the ones that do say something complimentary about the writing or how they love the story, it truly does touch me. I do personally read them and I love them, and it touches my heart. I just thought it's important to put that out there so they know it lands somewhere. This action does land, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you do too, right? Don't you feel a little bit warm?
Yeah, I read them all.
Yeah,
And I take
your
notice
heart,
of
right?
them. Yeah, if enough people tell me something's wrong with what I've done, then I'll try and do it better next time. But as I said, you can't please everyone, and I'm pleased that I've just got a response. Really, certainly I do read them all. I don't get every 5 minutes, but every week or so I'll go and have a look. And yes, people do take notice of them, and the more reviews you have, the more Amazon will push your book in searches. I think 50 is the magic number, but certainly 20 seems to have some effect. But once you've got over 50, certainly you do see more of a push. And they don't care about the content. They're quite happy it's 50 ratings. It's just the number that matters to them more at the end.
Excellent. So there's the number we should be shooting for is 50. Once we hit over 50, probably something more of a push happens. That's good to know. I never realized. Yeah. Mr. B, you're silent this whole time. I know you've got something to say. So let's hear it.
I think there are a lot of things impacting what we do today. And reviews are no different because our new world, our new thoughts, all of us are generational in the sense that we approach things so differently before as we are approaching them now. So I'm being honest, I don't know how to review. And I'm hoping we'd also include in this conversation how we go about doing the review, whether it's a rating or a writing, because we're distracted by so much stuff. I might go to my computer and forget completely what I was going to do because I got something popped up and tell me to do that instead. So our phone's algorithm might keep us very distracted, other things, but I want to be able to to deliberately go to a spot for a review, because I think it could be a dying practice, but it's a way to revive it by knowing how to review, whether it's algorithmic with numbers or putting enough words, or even telling everyone who is doing the review, if that's a benefit to the reviewer, right? Because I mean, I don't know, our names might show up everywhere if we say we're the ones doing the review. And so we learned today about the magic numbers and beyond. But how do we do a review, for example? And if we were to, Lene,
Lene, you take this.
I literally took 2 days off to go and spend in a hotel in Dubai, just me, myself, and I actually read an entire book in 2 days. It was brilliant. So when I read a book, I will take a photo with my phone of a page that had something that made me laugh or was significant or was just so profoundly well written, or even bloopers. I will take a picture of the page and page number, and then I will go and compile a draft email, and I will say, oh, this character had an amazing arc, but I won't put plot spoilers. That's out of respect for the author and the other readers who want to be surprised. At the end of a book read, I will compile that email, see, okay, this was stupid in the end. Oh, I can change that because actually there's a plot twist. I can say, oh man, there's a plot twist. You're not going to see it coming, but boy, it was a good one. And then try and keep it a bit mysterious. And then when I'm happy with that, I will go and plop it on Amazon if I purchased the book, because you can only review legitimately if you purchased it through Amazon. Amazon deletes reviews if you put fake reviews. So please be careful of that. And then you can put it on any other review sites, and you can copy paste the same review, but not more than 3 sites, please. Change a few words for something else. Otherwise, they think it's spam. But just a couple of lines, even saying, I loved it, or I'm a grandmother and this touched my heart. You don't have to literally analyze a book. But if there's something really amazing in it, you can say, I laughed in at least 3 places, and I'm a difficult customer to please. And that way, some of the people reading your reviews will go, yeah, I'm cynical and I don't laugh often, so let's give this book a chance. They'll take it as a challenge. So you're basically giving a little bit of a tease to other readers. And your opinion's entirely valid of it because it's your opinion. Now, the polite thing to do is not to point out errors in reviews. If you find errors in a book, you stay quiet, unless it's something really major and you happen to know the author, when you can politely just say, I don't know if you noticed, but I found an error, which I found 2 small errors, and I actually am friends with that particular author on Discord. And I was updating her live going, oh my God, the food description on this page is making me hungry. And she just laughed and I'd carry on reading. But for strange authors, don't tell them there's a mistake, because it's a costly process to withdraw a book, fix it, re-release the ISB in the new, just don't go there. Definitely. But, you know, be nice, be honest. We want honesty. We don't want paid advertisements. We want to hear raw feelings. I think, so if you keep a short review, that's as complicated as it gets. Very, very simple.
It's very easy to leave. If you look at the book's description page on Amazon, there is a little button there that says leave a review, just near where the other reviews are on the star ratings and the little graphs. There's a little blue button there, I think it is, and it just says leave a review, and it takes you straight to another page where you can either type something in or you can copy paste. You can select how many stars you want to give it, click the submit button, and within a couple of hours they'll probably come back to you and say, yeah, it's live, and that's it. It's dead easy. I always put a little thing on the last page of my books before I type the end that says, if you liked it, please leave a review. Just go to Amazon and just leave me a review. It'll be greatly appreciated. And I think if someone's slogged away through the book, that's just a nice little hint at the end to say, look, you've read it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Now tell everyone else how wonderful it was, or not.
That's a good idea. I need to do that.
Now, those are quite public. What about private? Do you get private reviews?
You mean if you know the author personally?
We all have social media pages. If someone doesn't want to do all that and they came on your page, or they started following you and sent you a like or a comment,
like a private message,
or
on social media,
or anything. Okay. I've gotten a whole page length on a social media because maybe they didn't know where to review my book, but I just appreciate it. I just enjoyed it. So it didn't matter. But how do you guys feel about just those little notes or private notes?
I've had emails from readers that have said really enjoyed it, and they're nice. I treasure them because that's taking a bit more time and effort than just going onto Amazon and doing it.
Yeah.
They're actually taking the time to get in touch with me personally, because my email address is at the back of the book. And they've taken the trouble to send me a personal message, and I think that's wonderful. I really do appreciate them, and I always answer them every time. Although I won't answer public reviews, because, as Lene said, you can get involved into some very heavy stuff very quickly. But if anyone sends me a private message, I'm all over it.
Exactly. I think that might be the distinguishing difference here, is that for a private message, you can and should reply to it, because that is very personal, and a public review is something that you should probably just leave it, as it is, and don't engage. Right. So, yeah, no, I have received also private messages, and I've replied every time.
For Lene, would you do a cutout from your private message and post it on your public page?
If someone writes something nice in a beautiful way, you can ask them and say, may I put this on my site? And do you want your name, or do you want only initials, or do you want to be anonymous? Because sometimes the way that people word how it touched them is so different from my own way of speaking that I find it a beautiful statement. And it's so clearly not something I've come up with. But I do ask them, and if they say no, I respect that. But one form of reviews that we haven't touched on yet is the wonderful social media groups that exist. So on Facebook, there are various groups, for example, fantasy readers, readers of science fiction, different genre groups on Facebook. And people will regularly post there saying, oh, I'm bored, I want to read something in the style of ABC. Do you have any recommendations? And I go on there and recommend books that I've read, and even some of your books, Richard, have been featured in a South African group recently. And Dedra's book as well, in another South African group. I said, I worked on this book, and it's the 1970s, man. So those little reviews we may never see, because those groups are private. If you're not in the group, there might be 100,000 members, but if you're not in it, you can't see it. And we just have to hope those little nuggets come across our path one day. And, if you join some random groups, go and search and see if your name's been mentioned anywhere. If you have the time. I'd rather be writing, but, it's nice if people talk behind your back and they say good things. So in that sense, I don't want to limit anybody. If two people want to sit and gossip about me in a coffee shop, and I hear a book title being discussed or something, I mean, there's an anecdote about one writer who was actually sitting in a coffee shop. I forget which writer it was, and two younger people were discussing his book, and they had some of the concepts wrong, and he actually turned to them and said, no, this character actually means that. They said, oh, what do you know? He said, well, I was too embarrassed to tell them I was the author, so I just stayed quiet.
Brilliant. I love
because
it.
It's out there. They can.
I wish that would happen to me.
Oh God! But just look at Shakespeare, right? Shakespeare's been gone for hundreds of years. People have been analyzing and overanalyzing and literally arguing about every single word and word choice for hundreds of years. Who says they're wrong? And one of my favorite author jokes is people asking, what does the author mean with the curtains were blue? Is he referencing the psychological state of tragedy and deep personal reflection? And the author goes, no, the curtains were just blue. He moves on. So in that sense, reviews are a magical thing, but it's good that people talk about it. So we want to encourage them, whatever format you have, if it is a book club, just, talk about the books, say you've seen interesting covers, have some alphabetical challenges, find an author with a name starting with a D, for example, a Dedra will pop up. Read alphabetical author lists. There's so many different ways of finding new books. And if you can find a review about one of them, that might just be the clincher. So the power is in the reader's hands. Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
what I was bringing up earlier was reviews also in a non-traditional. Well, we sound really traditional, and today social media is non-traditional to a review. So if I got a picture of someone holding or looked like they were reading my book, I get this. That's like a snapshot review. So someone looks like they were actually reading it. So I would repost it, right? Or that it was found in some strange setting, hopefully not the trash. and I was able to repost it. So it become my sense of modern day review. And are there other modern day reviews other than the lengthy or the typical ones we talk about?
Well, I guess video reviews. I mean, we haven't really talked about that. Some people review
On
books on
TikTok, yeah,
TikTok.
that's taking off in
Yeah.
a big way.
Mhm.
Every person who's now a book talker is doing video reviews about books. It's beautiful
Exactly.
thing.
Nice, right?
And sometimes they will agree to read yours as long as you provide the book, you know, for an honest review. So it is a bit of a gamble. So you have to really just hope and pray that they really liked it so that their video review they'll actually say nice things about it, you know. But
And-
like Richard said, you know, we have to kind of put our faith out there that even the bad reviews is still a review, you know, it might still make other people want to, you know, check it out and see what that controversial thing was that they didn't like so much.
I've seen
Yeah,
I've seen people on Facebook say that, you know, this book's had an awful review. Why don't you read it and see what you think?
Yeah.
It's
Controversy,
reverse
yeah.
psychology sort of advertising. Well, I've never done that myself, but I've certainly seen people do it, and I believe that it can be quite a successful technique for getting people to read your book because, well, someone else says it's rubbish, but I'll give it a go. Why not?
Well, I have used the fact that I asked for a review for Desert Magnolia once, and a reviewer actually gave it back to, you know, turned it back to me and said, I'm sorry, I can't review this book because I can't even carry on reading it. Some of the characters are just so horrible and so offensive and so infuriating that I can't keep reading the book. And I was like, okay.
Mission
I
accomplished.
used it for marketing though. I'm like, okay, well, you know,
Yeah.
read the book Desert Magnolia that scared, you know, some people away. That was so scary, you know, that it made
Good
them
thing
run
they
for the
haven't read
hills.
Skinwalker, then they'd go for therapy.
I know, right? Especially the rewrite that I'm working on now for Skinwalker. That one has teeth. You just wait. That's going to be scary like crazy.
No, so it's pretty neat. It's a non-traditional way of a review. And again, we're in modern times, we're in social media times, and everything counts, in my opinion. And so I think there's someone who's listening may even get some idea of becoming a reviewer more, or
Oh yeah.
get an idea of different ways they can look for where they will have a review or place their review. And so I think it's very beneficial. We brought up these good points.
Absolutely. And if you're the kind of person that likes to get a lot of free books, you can be a reviewer and especially if you've got a big following going on like TikTok or Instagram. I mean, I see these reviewers and they have these stacks of books, you know, that they've been sent, you know, by people hoping for a review because their review page has become more and more and more popular. So the more popular you get, the more you'll never have to pay for a book again. So,
And I just want to
big
add
perk.
that reviewers can provide a community service for other people in their area who cannot access social media, like the elderly, the disabled,
Yeah.
people who are averse to technology or who don't have access to internet or computers. They still want to read good books as well. So if you can find a book that you liked and you can tell people in your community about it, put a review on the notice board. Some churches have notice boards, some libraries, some schools, even leave a little post-it saying, next person, I gave this book 3 stars, you have fun with it, and donate it somewhere, leave it on a coffee shop table or something. There are out-the-box ways of making a little name for yourself as a reviewer, and then you can become the trusted source for people in your community who will eventually come to you and ask you, I like to read stories that aren't as scary as Dedra's Desert Magnolia, but you've read it, so what do you think is the next one for me that will give me the warm fuzzies afterwards? And who knows, it's a community service, you make more people happy, and at the end of the day, the stories get shared, which is the important thing.
All fantastic suggestions. So I hope anyone out there listening to this podcast, you know, if you are a reader, like a voracious reader, I mean, why not make it count for a little take it to the next level, become a
Give back.
reviewer.
Give
Yes,
back.
give back. Right, because it's not easy to get these books out there to people. But we have to work so hard. Like you said, Lene, we put our heart and soul into these novels. It takes so long to put this in them. I mean, other people do things like they calculate billable hours and they think about how long they're putting in. But I dare say that Richard and myself, for sure. I mean, when we are sitting down with writing a novel, you don't even think about it. Months go by, even years sometimes, and all that matters is that we get the perfect story out there, and I don't know how many hours went into writing something like this. I mean, it was definitely a year, of my time, went into it without even thinking about how much money is going to come back. So, I mean, reviews are a great way to say thanks. Honestly, just give
Tip
a little
your
thanks.
writer with a review. That should be the slogan.
Huh?
Tip your writer and leave a review.
Exactly. It's like a
The cheapest tip
honestly.
you can leave.
It's the cheapest tip you can leave. And it's like a little present. It's like a little birthday present, even, for me. I get so excited, when there's a new review there. It's almost like, my birthday has happened early.
Recently, I've been using a term called AI, and we know it's out there with the artificial intelligence, and we don't need a review from that. And so AI is also actual intelligence. And so we want some actual intelligence
Actual
placed
intelligence.
into this reviews, and it's really, really nice. This episode turned out great as far as reviews, because I was eager to find out and to hear all about it.
Oh, well, I hope you'll take it and shout it to the mountaintops, everybody. And be sure and join us next week for another fantastic episode of You, Me, and Iced Tea.